Hi everyone, my name is Bobby Sanabria and we are at the place to be, the Bmhc, the Bronx Music Center. I'm the co-artistic director along with the lovely
Elena Martinez.
All right, and tonight we have a special event. You know, in the beginning, there was the light, and then there was the word. And to tell you all about it is Elena.
Hi everyone, welcome to the BMHC's new program, new online program, Voices of Justice, Voices for Justice. As you know, as folks who work at a cultural center and run an arts center, we understand the power of art and how art, creating art and performing art in and of itself could be a political act, just using your voice or just bringing joy into the world. But we realize at this time, what's going on in the world is really important that we have art that is explicitly creating a social message to what's going on right now. It's very important that happens. So we decided to start this series where we can bring together folks who work in the arts, but also activists as well, to help us figure out how to use art as a platform, and put it on a bigger platform. And I'm really glad we get to work with some artists who have been part of the Bronx Music Heritage Center's history. They're on our music advisory board, and they're members of the Rebel Diaz collective. And we have G1 and RodStarz with us, and we're really happy to have them help us curate this event because the work that they do touches on so many different things: immigrants' rights, indigenous issues, labor issues. I remember I first heard about their work through their remix of "Which Side Are You On?" that great labor song. We would go places. We'd go to like Occupy Wall Street, and they were there singing songs. I would go to a march, and they would be there interviewing people for the station they worked for. So they're always merging together. They're going around the world, through Latin America, to Europe, to around the United States, to work on these issues, but always bringing to the forefront these political issues, educating people about them, but using music and art as the platform. So tonight, we hope this event, this program, starts off a discussion, and we hope to have more of these, touching on different topics. Tonight, we'll be looking how rap music itself, rap and hip hop, can be used in a way to create to do activist work. So welcome G1 and RodStarz.
Speaking truth to power.
That's what's up. Thank you, Bobby.
Peace, y'all. Thank you.
Thank you, Elena. Much love to the BMHC. For folks that don't know, when our collective space got shut down by the feds and the NYPD, we have nowhere to go. And the homies hit us up like, yo, we got, a storefront for y'all to come, do y'all work. So we were able to continue the work of the Rebel Diaz Arts Collective because the space showed love. So, that's why we always got love for the Bronx Music Heritage Center. Today, we setting it off. We live in historic moments. We got a pandemic going on. The people are in the streets right now as we speak. There's an uprising, that set it off. With the crazy murder of George Floyd that all of us seen, with the murder of Breonna Taylor, with the murder of Ahmaud Arbery. But for us, we know, and the folks that are on this joint tonight with us know that it ain't start this year. We got folks like my brother Tef Poe from Ferguson, who are in the streets for years, and who probably gonna be in the streets right after we get off this call, because that's how real it is, So we definitely want to welcome, the brother Tef Poe. We got La Hermana Maria Isa representing the Boricuas, the Boricua delegation, from Minnesota, who lives, in the area where it all set it off, who knew George, who knew George Floyd, from working at the Latino clubs in the area, And we've known Maria Isa since before this. We've been years doing shows, and so for us, this is more of like a get together of the fam, And so, it's an honor to have everybody. We also have my brother King Capo, who came up as an MC at the open mics that we would do at the BMHC, from Boogie Mics. The first time I met him was at BMHC. He walked in, I was like, man, who the little young Dominican quiet dude? And he got up on the mic and killed it, as you're gonna see later. His rap talent is crazy. But more than that, he's here with us today because there's any, young man that's been, I follow him on Instagram, and I'm surprised he's not at a protest right now, because he literally been at every protest. I'd be like protesting vicariously through him, through his Instagram. So it's an honor. This is Rapid Social Movements. And, you know, more than anything for folks that are tuning in, we want to have a conversation. You know what I'm saying? We want to have some real chat, some real talk, and then we're going to spit some bars. Because at the end of the day, we MCs and we rap. And that's what we do. We use the power of the word, the power of lyrics to manifest revolution, to manifest ideas of a change for a better tomorrow. If I'm gonna keep it 100 with y'all, we gonna have some uncomfortable conversations at the same time because we gonna talk about that realness. You know what I mean? We may take it a step further than just defund the police. And so I share that. And then of course I gotta introduce my crew, my brothers. You know, one is actually from the same mother, the other one is from another mother. My brother G1, producer from Rebel Diaz, and DJ Illinois on the ones and twos is with us as well. God. What up, G?
What up, how you? Brother? What's up with you, bro? Over here in the Midwest, holding it down in Chicago.
See, this is the craziness of the Zoom. We got Marisa, how you doing? You good?
Hello, hello, hello. What's up? What's popping?
Happy anniversary.
Thank you. I blessings.
At the end of the day, we fighting this revolution and struggle for the families, for the babies.
Indeed.
You know what I'm saying? For the mothers, for the familias. So blessings on that. Shout out to Bobby Sanabria on the drums. So if what I want to do is, and I know we asking folks to mute themselves for the audio, but I trust that we are pros, that we could, you know, be unmuted and, you know, not speak when we not, you know, needed to. But I really want this to be a conversation if y'all are with it. Shout out to King Capo. He in the building, represent Dominican Republic in Brooklyn.
Yeah.
What up, Capo? How you?
Chilling, bro. I'm in crib.
Okay,
that's good.
So now that we introduced everybody, I figure we can have some conversations. The first one, I want to literally just throw out a question to all the artists before we get into the music, into the bars, into the bar fest. So I'll start with Capo since you are muted. Capo, you know, you came, to me it's dope that you at a Bmhc event. We met you, you know what I'm saying, at the Bmhc. You know
I remember that. Yep.
I remember you were wearing some red moccasins,
the
styling and profiling. You know? Now, but more than that, you came up to the, you know, through the ranks of being at the open mics. But now, as you've grown, you know what I'm saying, into an adult, you know what I mean, into a dope MC, you got music coming out, you've been performing all over. But today we rocking with you because I've been following you on Instagram, and you've been at every protest. So I thought a question to you first. How has it been this year? You know what I mean? Shutting shit down in the streets of New York. Tell us a bit about that.
Bro, it was intense, bro. Like, it begins with a post on IG because they were doing a rally out here, like 2 blocks away from my crib in Flatbush. So everything started when I saw a post on Instagram, bro. Like, you know, like I was walking over there, like this, like it was a Saturday. I remember that. And then I hit out my boys, and I saw my boys on the rally already. And it was the intersection of Parkside and Ocean Avenue right here. So when I was walking over there, it was a lot of people, like 2,000 people already there, post up. So it was super intense, bro. We was waiting there for 1 hour for more people to come over. But yeah, it was super intense, bro. That was the first day though.
Okay. G, if we can, if you can, do you have the footage of the van crazy moving that we have that we could maybe screen share if that's cool?
I do.
Kind of show.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
So we're gonna show y'all now what Capo's talking about, how it went down in New York real quick. Right. This is Capo's footage from his IG. So let's go to that.
Yeah, that was in the nighttime.
All right, this is the van here, right here.
Yeah.
Yes! Okay, cool. So as you can see, Capo, what do you thinking, Capo, as you seeing is going on in your neighborhood in Brooklyn?
I was like, yo, I never seen, stuff like this. Like, it was like in some other level stuff. So I was super impressed because I was like, yo, this shit is real, for real. And a couple minutes after, I saw the same van like on fire.
That was that same van. Okay, that's the one that got set.
Yeah.
Let me ask you a question. What was, obviously the level of resistance has the ante's gone up, right? What have you seen though as far as like police response to at the same time to the marches?
The same thing, like same police brutality. They don't have patience. Like they do the same thing, kicking like the protesters and everything, like, and provoking the protesters. That's how I seen it.
Okay, that's what's up. So you got it, right? This is the scene that we described, and this is what's going on for the folks. We started with New York since this is Bmhc, we in the Bronx, whatever. Tell us a bit more though, as an artist, in 2020, how do you view your art adapting or responding to the world around you?
Man, right now I'm in the home studio. Thank God, I got the home studio, and I'm super privileged of having the mic and everything, and I can do my own music here. But in the other note, like I miss, performing live outside, the venues and stuff. That's something that I miss a lot. But other than that, like I don't know, like.
But do you feel yourself like feeling about like the pulse of the people in the music you're writing? Because you've been putting out videos. I've been seeing the videos. The Speed Out video was one of the few videos that came out that was filmed during the pandemic. You know what I mean? Tell us a bit about that, but also about the energy that I heard some of the lyrics. You got political lyrics, and you're not necessarily a revolutionary rapper. How has the streets influenced your lyrics?
I mean, that's how I live, like every day. Like I see the police brutality, all the experience that I got with the police, it was bad, like since the beginning. Every time I got, like I got to face the police, like they always come with an attitude, like, like they talk bad to people, whatever, but yeah, that's what I try to, put the lyrics on my music. That's how I'm trying to express it and stuff. Yeah.
Okay, that's what's up. So we bouncing around the map. You feel me? And I want to go now to where they set it off. And we got to give credit where credit is due. And Maria Isa, I know that's where you are. You know what I mean? You was in the ground zero for 2020.
Hey, yes.
Talk to us about the experience over there.
Man, fuerte. The revolution will be televised on IG. That's what it is. We got fed up, man. 5 years, the numerous of hands of numbers of gente that have been killed through police brutality and police violence. And it's like the glass broke, it wasn't just from Minnesota, feeling the heat of everybody, feeling the heat of the injustices of the law, and then being in a pandemic where we're all closed and trying to keep ourselves mentally healthy. Minneapolis, the Twin Cities said, ja basta, you know what I'm saying? And what happened is they killed not only just another Black man, but they killed a Black man who held his guard down for our gente. And it wasn't just Black people. He held his guard down for Latinx. He held his hand out for Minneapolis as a whole, which is a diversing melting pot. Like you look at New York City's and the 5 boroughs and the density of population, you look at LA, Minneapolis, St. Paul, the Twin Cities, we're not that big, but when you have all of us in a city population wise, you gotta think of what makes these cities what they are now. And you've got refugees from Asia, refugees from Africa, you've got the migrant workers movement that have came back from all the way in the 20s and the late 1800s that have been generations and generations and opening arms to other Latinx. And most importantly, This is the land of the indigenous. This is the land of the clouded lakes of water of Minnesota, the Dakota and the Ojibwe. So those ancestors were crying out through the youth. And when we seen what happened to Brother Floyd, it refreshed the memories of what happened to the homie Philando. You know, it reminded us. It reminded us of Jamar Clark. It reminded us of the numerous of people of Jesus. All of these names and names that are involved in our community. And you know, my husband said it best. It's like, you know, if something was to happen to him, or if something was to happen to his son, God forbid, you know, we would hope the city would have enough and show up. And that's just what it was. It was time to say, we've been showing up, we've been protesting, we keeping the peace, but it's war.
I appreciate you saying that and bringing up Philando, because, you know, a lot of folks that don't know what time it is, you know, I've heard like, I don't know why it popped off like this. Like, this is a continuation.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
What I find super interesting about your story specifically is, you know, you're one of the people, and, you know, I know you spoke about this a lot, but I think it's interesting for folks that haven't, you know, heard your piece. You knew George Floyd.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
George
Tell us
was
about
a
that
security
experience. Tell
guard.
us about that.
George, you know, this scene has grown, right? What you see now, the revolutionary lens pointing in our cities. You know, when people think about the revolution in Minneapolis, they think about Prince. He knew before, ahead of his time, right? But Big Floyd held down our band at, you know, the main Latinx venues in the city. The two major ones was full-time at Conga, which is a family dining. It kind of reminds me, if you're in New York, reminds me like the Claridades, the Abuelas, and in El Barrio, you know, that's the vibe. It's the cheers for the Latinx to come through, eat and dance in the other room. So he made sure that he recognized faces. He wasn't on he's what the police wish they could be. That peace officers that they keep labeling, that's what George was. Just keeping the peace, man, and recognizing families and getting to know his patrons, because that was, although he didn't own it, he ran that door. He had to make sure everybody was cool and taken care of. And as a woman of color, he always made sure that we was safe and where we were having fun. And on another level, he was a part-time or contracted by the largest Latinx club, which burned down. That was 2 blocks away from the precinct, the 3rd precinct. And that's where I got to really know him, because you got to think 2,000 plus people that could fit in that venue. You know, the last time I actually had him be my security in that venue was when I opened up for Bad Bunny before he blew up, you know. And I remember Big Floyd being like, man, come on, Issa, like, is he that bad? You know, the conversations, because he was a rapper too. And he had that whole historical platform from Houston. So we talked about that, about spitting bars, and also about the racial disparities in our own community as Black and Latinx, and how we gotta take a lead in educating the youth. And I felt so much love from him, because when we would go into these venues and shows, he always knew that me and my crew were going to bring truth to the gente. And we'd show up with our drums and our turntables, and he loved that. He loved that essence. So we made a connection through being like, oh snap, sisters in the house. So whether it was a big show, making sure we were safe, and as a woman, making sure I was protected in the club, and knowing that my husband's a rapper, and making sure everything was cool and tranquilo. So the way that he was taken, and I've only seen it once, and I won't ever look at it again because I don't care to look at it anymore. But I think it's important that if you haven't, that you do recognize how a gentle giant was taken away from a community that he protected. He protected me. He protected mine. He protected ours. And that connection will never leave, man. He's in my lab now. You know what I'm saying? I look at him being a reminder, and that his name will live forever as being the one who was the one to break the glass, you know. In the spiritual world of our ancestors, we can talk about the indigenous tribes to the tribes of Africa. When that water goes to leak, it's cleansing all of the blood that had been on the hands of people who need to recognize that justice will be served. And I hold Big Floyd of being that for our city. He's protecting us now, so that hopefully my daughter, when she's one, she'll be like, mommy, what were the police? And they used to kill people like you and Papi, or they used to, you know, beat us up. You know, what was that? They used to kill Black people, you know, and that's the dream. He wanted the youth to take leadership and also to be educated on what's been taken away from us. And I believe that his purpose will be that now.
That's what's up. Curious, out of curiosity, so this killer cop Chauvin, he worked at the same clubs that y'all were at?
Yes, he was. So here in Minneapolis, you have to contract off-duty cops, as it's a part of the law, right? So he was contracted. MPD was contracted by the clubs, and he was the guy who I believe, you know, was the one who took it upon himself to be that guy. You know, like, it reminds me of you when I lived in New York and we were there at the similar time, just thinking about that hip hop police type of vibe, you know, that whole branding of feeling some proudness of a badge to be able to beat people up. And that was that man's whole energy. So as much as you could say, you know, Big Floyd was in there protecting us in these clubs, you know, that man was infiltrating our spaces and getting paid for it.
Crazy. I appreciate you sharing that inside scoop. You know what I mean? I think it's super powerful.
No, it's out there.
Share that truth.
Yeah, it's out there and it's true. I mean, I've seen that guy. I know that guy is the devil. That's a person who's like, oh man, let's get out of here. You know what I'm saying? And you ain't done nothing. You know, you're just trying to protect yourself and knowing the reality that this guy, you could see it in his eyes, and you could see that look in his eyes in that video. It's just that's that look that he carried. He had a pride in being that pig.
Yeah. Arrogant.
Yeah.
Hateful.
Nazi vibe. The Nazi-ness.
Completamente. Yeah. That's it. Word. So I appreciate that. We just gonna bounce around. So we hit up Brooklyn, right? Maria Isa gave us a scoop. You know, we definitely gonna go back to you though. You know, we gonna move around.
No
so
doubt.
A little drop from Minnesota. We're gonna travel a little bit south. You know what I mean? We're gonna pass through Chicago. We're gonna get to Chicago later. But we're going to St. Louis. You know what I mean? Where, real talk, there wouldn't be no Black Lives Matter if it wasn't for Ferguson. You know what I mean? For a rebellion, that real talk, you know, I feel in many ways, you know, there's a post-Ferguson America. You know what I'm saying? And so, you know, I got to pass the baton to my brother Tef Poe. Tell us a bit about, after, you know, all that went down in Ferguson, how you view what's going on today in 2020 from a St. Louis/Ferguson perspective.
Man, that's a loaded question, dog. I feel like people build uprisings on the backs of the poor. I feel like the poor go out here and get it popping. And the coastal elitism, they fly into our cities because they don't have the heart and the balls to get out there and really do it themselves in their city. And they go to other people's cities and co-opt local movements, co-opt the grassroots movements, and they ride off into the sunset. And the tell of the tape tells the same story over and over again about the U.S. Nonprofit sector and its pandering to liberal politics, it's pandering to respectability politics. There's a new ruling class of black bourgeoisie leftists that have no class analysis. They say rest in peace to niggas like George Bush when he passes, but they quote Assata Shakur all day long. And I'm confused. So you can't be Michelle Obama and Assata Shakur. You know what I'm saying? Like, those are two totally different political ideologies. And a lot of people don't want to accept the realities of that. And I think now what you see is also with all these different uprisings that are popping off is that similar to what our sister from Minneapolis just said, is that there's a lot of political science going on with this situation. Like, COVID, right? People being indoors. And then the police over policing communities of color already. They were doing that pre-COVID. And you take a situation where it's like, yo, you're supposed to fall back because we all in the same situation. We all in the same circumstances as human beings. But instead, they choose to be the oligarchical arm of the 1%. And they don't have any analysis around their own humanity, so they can't have none around ours. You know what I'm saying?
You know, what you dropped, that's why I love building with you. Besides the fact that you're a super amazing MC, you know what time it is. You know what I mean? And so I think it's interesting that from these uprisings, right? Because we got to be real. The conversation a lot on a national level, you know what I'm saying, wouldn't even be going on if folks hadn't burnt stuff down. You know what I mean? If folks hadn't set it off to the level that they did. If the third precinct don't get burnt in Minneapolis, you know what I mean? The same way if Florissant wouldn't have burnt in Ferguson, right? Now, at the same time, you have a moment in which there's a supposed election going on this year. And there's a lot of, you know, like you said, a lot of misleadership class going on. What are your views on defund the police? And do you see that as a step, or is that the ultimate goal?
I'm in favor of defunding the police, but most importantly, I'm in favor of defunding the United States of America. I'm in favor of defunding Israel. I'm in favor of defunding the CIA and the FBI. Don't try to give me a placated talking point that sounds kind of radical. It's like you gotta watch liberal people, dog, because it's always up until a certain point. So we could take radical language and commercialize it, but what's our actual intentionality is people. You know what I'm saying? Like as an actual container of politicized people, what's our actual intentionality? And I'm all for defunding the police, but I don't want defunding the police to be parallel with Nike and the NBA and, you know, Wimbledon and whatever capitalist benchmarker they have for the day. So it's like, even right now, what I'm seeing is a lot of people are spray painting stuff like they're putting words like defund the police on their businesses. They're putting Black Lives Matter all over the businesses. And I'm in the position where I already knew my life mattered. I don't really need you to reaffirm my life mattering. Like, I don't give a fuck if you think my life matter. Like, okay, what's the actual political move that we making as a politicized group of people? Like, okay, now that you at the table and you can say like my life matter, what are we doing politically? Like, how are we feeding the poor? How are we feeding the hungry? How are we moving the needle past the two-party system? How are we actually reaffirming a real democracy? Because this has never been a democracy. How are we actually, you know, sparking what I call a revolution? And that's where it gets dangerous, because a lot of people want social change, they want reform, they want peace, but they don't want revolution.
That's what's up, bro. Thank you, Tef, for dropping that. Now we're going to move a little bit north, you know what I'm saying, to a city that got federales. Trump sent the feds to my hometown, where my brother G and my brother Illinois is at, to Chicago, right? G, tell us a bit about what's been going on in Chicago. You know what I mean? There's been Black and Indigenous unity marches. There's also been Black and brown beef in the hood. You know what I mean? But tell us a bit about the pulse of the people in Chicago. What's going on over there?
Well, what we're seeing here too is a continuation of a historical legacy. Here in Chicago, you have a legacy of segregation, you know what I mean, where there's been historically a lot of divisions between Black and brown. But the other side of that coin is that you've historically had a lot of coalition building and a lot of unity amongst the Black and brown communities, you know what I'm saying? So I think a lot of the stuff that we heard that was in the mainstream media in regards to the divisions between the Black and brown communities were overblown. And the reality is that there is still a level of leadership, you know what I mean, that exists on the streets with the different street organizations that brought a level of peace, you know what I'm saying, to the supposed division that exists. And that's not to say, like I said, that that doesn't exist. We know that the divisions between our communities are a result of a historical legacy of dividing and conquering. And at the same time, we've seen a young generation, not only the street organizations, but students and workers that understand the need and the importance of black and brown and poor people unity. And so we've seen that. We've seen it, the legacy of the Chicago Teachers Union here in Chicago, where they closed 54 schools in 2013. And there was a strike, and there was a strike again last year. And the unity of the labor movement with a lot of black and brown young people that have come together to be able to speak truth to power. So we've seen, there was a victory here. These young people went and to try to topple the Christopher Columbus statue, which is clearly a symbol of colonialism and white supremacy. And there were the mayor over here, Lori Lightfoot, another continuation of liberal mayors, where they pander right to the voting, to poor people, to black and brown. But when it comes to their policies, they're no different than right wing Republican leadership in different other cities. And so what we're seeing here, when the young people went to go take down the Christopher Columbus statue, it became a state of siege, and that violence wasn't brought upon by the young protesters. It was brought upon by a militarized police force. Here in Chicago, there's more than 40% of the city budget that's being spent on the police, and that's not an anomaly in regards to Chicago. I mean, that's happening also.
G, hold on, G. Say that
Yeah.
again for the people. Say that number again for the people in the back.
Man,
I can't
Jack,
hear you in the back.
man. So for every $5 that's spent in the city budget, $2 goes to the police. That's more than 40%, more than $2 out of those $5, every $5. So and the young people here have been doing a lot of education work. This doesn't just come out of nowhere. This has been a legacy of youth organizations that have been building for years. You have people on the ground that have been doing this. People that learned also from the Ferguson Rebellion and brought some of those lessons back over here to get down with some of the work that's going on. And so I think that there's a hopeful space that's happening here, because at the end of the day, despite the fact that there was a militarized police force that met the young protesters here in the Shire when they were trying to take down the Columbus statue, the end result was Lori Lightfoot deciding to take it down. You know what I'm saying? She ended up taking it down, and that's not a result of petitions or a result of say, please, Miss Lori Lightfoot, can you please take down this symbol of colonialism and white supremacy? It was because of the pressure on the street. And we know that the reality of the economy being shut down because of COVID and whatever other reasons they give is that the levels of poverty here in Chicago are growing exponentially. You know what I'm saying? And so also what you hear in the mainstream media is, they always point to the Chi, like, yo, we can't defund police. Look at all the violence in Chicago. And Trump uses that as a talking point, and even some of the misleadership liberal class uses that as a talking point to say, hey, hold on, let's not get carried away here. We can't be defunding the police when we have this level of violence that's happening in Chicago. But we know, and the youth know, that the violence that's happening here in Chicago is not the young people protesting. The violence is a militarized police force. The violence is 54 schools being closed down and continuing more schools that have been shut down recently, and a level of evictions and homelessness is also that's been growing in recent times. And we consider that to be the real violence that we're seeing. And I think the young people are clear that that's the situation at hand.
Thank you, G, for that. And one thing I want to share, you know what I'm saying? A lot of folks be hearing me, and I be saying I be dropping gems. None of these gems are mine. A lot of them I be hearing from my brother G. So what I keep it 100. I'm like I'm the spokesperson for the crew. I just speak on it now. But bro, G, you have a really good take that I've really been open off of. So to go off what Tef was saying, right? Black Lives Matter in the NBA. Black Lives Matter murals all over the country, symbolic, right? What is the role of capitalism in all of this? Is capitalism really think that Black Lives Matter? What is your view on this, G? Talk to me, man.
I mean, we always use, Ferguson as a starting point because of the transitions that have occurred since then. Tef talked about the co-optation of that rebellion that went down. If you look at the mainstream media, initially it was like, Colin Kaepernick, he's not a patriot, and then Nike goes and gives him, $1 million deal, and that's not knocking Colin Kaepernick, but at the same time, you see how these corporations come and try to position themselves in order to be able to stay relevant in the conversation and beyond just staying relevant, because it's also, I think, short-sighted to be like, oh, these corporations are just trying to keep their customer base and they're just trying to, continue to make a profit. It goes beyond that. We understand that when you see, you saw Home Depot, Coca-Cola, Boeing, one of the biggest military defense contractors, putting out statements in support of Black Lives Matter after the George Floyd rebellions in the last month. There's something else at hand. And if you really look at it, when you talk about these multinational corporations that represent a ruling class that at the end of the day are participating in a social engineering that doesn't look at 5, 10 years ahead. They're looking at 20, 30, 40 years ahead. And the realities of this country is that this so-called white majority that exists is becoming the minority quickly. And so when you talk about, like Tef was saying, the need for a multicultural managerial class, right, to be able to join or be the kind of standing army for the ruling class, they're gonna want to bring people of color in. And so the reality is that we're in a crisis right now that goes further than they make it seem to be. You know what I'm saying? Like the last 4 or 5 months have been the biggest transfer of wealth in the history of the United States. That you see it in the numbers. The billionaires are becoming almost trillionaires. You know what I'm saying? And it's like the level of income inequality is going to a point where there's a restructuring happen, you know what I'm saying, of capitalism. And of course, what's going to happen when capital is threatened? They adjust, they readjust, they morph, they adapt in order to maintain the interests of that ruling class. And so that's why we see, the Coca-Cola saying, Black Lives Matter and Pepsi and McDonald's and Nike and all these symbols of U.S. multinational capitalism. You know what I mean? And so for us, we see it as supporting these rebellions is important, and saying Black Lives Matter is important, and saying that we need to address the historical wrongs that have gone down in this country. And I think Tef says it best when we talk about defund the police. Shit, we need to defund America, because at the end of the day, we can't separate the internal police that we have here with the United States military. I mean, in the midst of all this pandemic, there's almost an 800 million, billion, exactly, $800 billion defense budget, you know what I'm saying, that's being passed. And that's the empire that's also in its last legs. You feel me? So we need to be able to put all these things into context. And for us, we support these movements that are happening, and these efforts also at mutual aid. Everybody that's trying to survive. There's going to be a historical wave of evictions going down in the next few months. There's clearly going to be a contested election, and we need to make sure that we're not on the streets 4 months from now saying, please Joe Biden, come save us, because that's not going to be the solution. And I think the solution is these conversations that we're having, the conversations that people are having internally in their neighborhoods about how we're going to survive.
Thank you, Brother G, for dropping the gems on us.
Thank you, G, for the space.
Now, one of the things that you talked about, right, is the Columbus statue coming down in Chicago. We don't want to honor a colonizer, but speaking of colonization, we have a compañera from Minneapolis is rocking with us. That's from Puerto Rico. That got the black and white, that don't got the red, white, and blue flag. She got the resistance flag behind her in black and white. Puerto Rico is in an uprising too. After Hurricane Maria, you know what I'm saying, and the pandemic, Puerto Rico is also uprising. Maria Isa, if you want to share a bit about this, we're talking about social movements. No podemos hablar de social movements y no hablar de lo que está pasando, what's going on in Puerto Rico. For folks that don't know, this is going to be a bilingual show. And if you don't entiende, get with the program. Entonces, Maria Isa, Tell us about the Spanish. Look, in whatever you want about
No,
what's
no, I
going
mean,
on.
we can go in Spanish, but you know how it is.
No, I know.
We Puerto Ricans, we speak Puerto Rican.
Early.
You know, I'm Puerto Rican, born a New Yorkers to Boricuas from the island. And we cannot, I want to point what G1 was talking about, is education. And also, we just can't talk about defunding the police. We can't talk about who's going to vote for what. We have to educate facts of decolonizing. These are all the injustices under the umbrella of colonization. So yeah, Puerto Rico, we got to talk about where were the first statues planted? Where were the first indigenous tainas that were raped? Where was the genocide? Where was the first kings and queens of Africa raped and taken and abducted to blend? We are the products of our ancestors. We're surviving here. We have to recognize and educate. We know what it is because we've been educated. We are the products of the warriors. Just how, you know, Tuff, you said, can't talk about Michelle Obama and Assata Shakur. Two Black strong women, different visions, and highlighting just, I don't want to get off the map, but it's all like full circle here. I mean, you have, you know, Congressman Lewis's funeral today, and they got Bill Clinton talking stuff about Stokely Carmichael. And so it's like, time out, and it's pinning the tail on the honky. I'm sorry, pinning the tail on the donkey. And when we talk about what we can do, we can't talk about what we can change right now without recognizing why we have to change it. History, her story. So like being in Minneapolis, being in St. Paul, these twin cities, I got this 1 star behind me, but I'm also talking with the other folks raising their 1 star in the Somali flag, and how they've been fighting for the liberation and independence of the people and being refuged here, and how our stories aren't very different, you know, and pointing our similarities and recognizing our privileges, if we have any. What are they, right? We always talk about the white people having this privilege and the kids saying our Black and brown students don't feel that they're powerful. We are powerful. We are surviving our warriors with nothing, with the little bit that we have. So when we talk about the Puerto Rico, I mean, yeah, before the hurricane, the death, but we're talking about the sterilization of the women who are ancestors in my familia. We're talking about, you know, the injustices of how these slave boats were still happening, you know, in through the Jones Act and through the draft. You know, my grandfather, que pase descanse, rest in peace, you know, was shot twice on the front lines at Normandy Beach, trying to learn 3 different languages to survive amongst a war zone coming from Santurce, you know. So it's important. I know this history because my parents have fought that, and that's my privilege. It ain't white privilege. It's a privilege of we're here with the knowledge, and knowledge is power. And what we gonna do when the internet breaks down because they don't like us communicating like this? Because we're surviving in a pandemic, Rob, where I may not be able to jump and head out to the Bronx on an airplane right now, or we, you know, we'll do it if we have to, but they're showing you that who is surviving and how is this gaining. So we utilize technology as a tool, but también we need to print things. We need to capture our videos and our images of our families, because every power that we find to keep us positive is what colonization, the formalities of white supremacy do best to try and rip and burn it down. Entonces, how do we do that? We braid, seguimos braiding. Todos tenemos trenza, our abuelas braided, our, you know, we all come from a form of braiding. And it's recognizing, braiding those resistances, unifying our shades of resistances, and taking ownership on what we have survived as power. Not as pain, but as power, because with pain comes power. And that's Puerto Rico. With pain comes power.
Bars.
You know. I can't hear you, Ryan.
You muted, my brother.
I got so into it que se me olvidó. So, I was saying thank you for those words, for that power and that mic drop that you just gave us. We moving back to Brooklyn. I'm on the move. I'm on the move because the people are on the move. Capo. Unmute yourself, Capo. Tell Capo.
Dímelo. Yo, it's my first time using this, bro.
I know.
I don't know how to use it. Dímelo.
But you know what? That's the realness. We not when Elena's like, yo, Rod, we want to put some stuff together. I'm not calling the folks that have all the resources in I'm calling to my people in the hood. Capo. Let us hear some of these bars, bro. You got a joint for us to rock real quick?
Oh yeah.
You know, I mean, we got to throw in the culture. We don't want to do just talking. We want to hear cultura.
Let me play these.
Let off some of those bars.
All right, ready?
Let's do it.
We be doing it up in Brooklyn.
Can y'all hear that? Se oye, se oye. Okay. Dice, yo, bienvenido a Nueva York, donde ha sido desde que apagar el tren. La única opción es quedarte para poder brincar en él. Cosa que no te vean, todo está ya muy bien, de lo contrario te darán una multa y eso más de $100. La vida no es para los débiles, y más si vives en un país corrupto por la élite. Es más vivir, déjame dice que todo andando mal, pero que no tiene cada día es una pelea más. Turistas vienen, turistas se van, con la intención de que todo es una maravilla. Solo observa lo bello que tiene la gran ciudad, pero en su alrededor es diferente. Del pueblo, la energía de la gente, demasiado, pero diferente proporción. Apuntamos a lo mismo, pero voy con otra intención. Mientras ellos rapean de cosas que ni siquiera son ciertas, conozco pero que viven lo que rapean haciendo tiempo. Así que spread love is the Brooklyn way. Spread love is the Brooklyn way. Yeah, spread love is the Brooklyn way. 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 Yeah, spread love is the Brooklyn way. Spread love is the Brooklyn way. Yeah, que tú quieres que yo te defina como que lo hago esta rima. Solo un micrófono yo necesito, los demás fluye arriba. Un DJ que crache que me ponga la pista, que vibre la energía que brinda de los sentidos a los que en verdad lo viven. Soy una de los que coge esto en serio, el tipo de rapero que si dice algo porque lo estoy haciendo que apta. Yo soy como aquellos que proponen y proponen en sus canciones, pero su vida cortita no están haciendo nada. Predican que cada lírica que compone, pero sus acciones está demasiado claro que realmente contenido es nulo. Rodrigo me puso la mente correcta, al igual que Gonzalo me enseñaron que está más grande de lo que aparenta. Tengo claro que tengo el privilegio de cargar este don, de acuerdo a lo más profundo pienso que se debe saber de cada cosa que digo. Utilizaré mi voz de forma positiva, combinándolo con mi estilo. Spread love is the Brooklyn way. Spread love is the Brooklyn way. Yeah, spread love is the Brooklyn way. 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 Citrone, grazie.
Oh, that's Citronic? Look at you. Flames.
Vamos ahí, dale.
Mira, como no te puedo dar un flame, este es mi flame emoji. This is the real flame emoji aquí. Yo, one of my favorite MCs en el planeta, King Capo, my brother, that's what's up. Y, man, cada vez que dice mi nombre en una canción, I'm not gonna love it. I love it. Yo, so we moving, as y'all see, this is not your everyday, Zoom conference. We rapping, we dropping bars, we dropping knowledge. But the theme that we're talking about is rap, social movements, rap and revolution. I almost thought after we made the flyer que se debería haber llamado rap and revolution, but you already know what it is. We have MCs representing Brooklyn, Minneapolis, Minnesota, St. Paul, you know what I'm saying, Ferguson, St. Louis, Chicago. And these are all areas, you know what I'm saying, where people have been resisting. Big shout outs to Portland and their Chilean style Primera Línea holding it down. We have questions from people. I want to shout out everybody that's tuning in. The brother Lou Wop representing T-Dot. You know what I mean? We got Amber, you know what I'm saying, representing Western Massachusetts. We got my brother, you know what I'm saying, Nick Calaveras from Chile, you know, out here. We got Yamir, my brother Fern Hernandez, my brother Big June from Chicago. I love it. So shout out to everybody if they tuned in or they dropping messages. I appreciate that. Elena, do we have a question from the people that we want to talk about? Is there a question? I feel like I saw that in the chat.
Yes, there is a question from Luis Luop. What do y'all think of the role of music in the uprisings? Will it bring forth more substance, as in using the medium to distribute knowledge and information?
What's the last part I didn't hear?
Will it bring forth more substance, as in using the medium to distribute knowledge and information?
I want to, that's a great question, Lou. I appreciate that question. I'm going to say something. It's crazy, but I learned something when I went to Ferguson. I learned the pulse of the people. Tef knows, he was there with us. When we first rolled up on Ferguson, I had a sound system. And I'm playing, because I'm old school, baby. I'm playing Fight the Power by Public Enemy. And Lil Josh and Dante from Lost Voices, you know what I'm saying, who ain't been on no speaking tours. Free Josh Williams, you know what I'm saying, by the way. You caught an 8-year bid, real talk, you know what I mean? Big shout out to Dante. Half of these chants that you hear in the marches come from Tef and Dante. You know what I'm saying? Who shut shit down? We shut shit down. You know what I mean? We know where that came from. But to get to my point, Josh is like, yo, let me get this, Rod, let me get the ox. I guess they wasn't feeling my old Fight the Power. And they threw on Lil Boosie. Narcotics, Fago, Diaz, you know what I mean? And I say that because that theme of angst in the music that people are protesting has continued. When they were burning down the 3rd precinct in Minneapolis, they weren't bumping Rebel Diaz. I own it. They wasn't bumping Dead President Mortal Technique. They were bumping Chief Keef Finito. In Chicago, they bumped Chief Keef Finito. And I share this because I feel like the energy in Brooklyn, they bumping Pop Smoke at the protests, you know? And so I say that because there's an energy to this music, the beats, and it's not necessarily conscious lyrics, but it's the energy in which realistically, at the end of the day, young people in this country have been failed by even the activist world, where they see everybody as the ops. You know what I'm saying? And I think that that's an energy that's real and it's justified. It's justified rage because of the failures of the left, you know what I mean, to really step up to the plate and create these changes. You know what I'm saying? When we talk about, you know, what is the music that's really being played in the streets, I feel like a lot of the beats speak more than the lyrics at times to the rage of the people. So I want to say that. I also think that it's important, you know what I mean, that you have had Public Enemy drop a new track with Flavor Flav and Chuck and everybody together again, because it's also a legacy that they have started. We stand on their shoulders as artists that create hip hop with political messages. We stand on the shoulders of a Dead Prez. We stand on the shoulders, you know what I'm saying, of a Public Enemy, of an X-Clan, of a Poor Righteous Teachers, you know what I'm saying? And so, of a Brand Nubian, you know what I'm saying? So I say that to Luwap in that I definitely think that, you know, we're seeing music that's representative of the times, but I also think that when we've been in the streets, I've been hearing a lot more of the rhythm kind of representing that rage more than the lyrics. I'll pass that if anybody else wants to say, you know, more on that. I just wanted to share that idea. You know, like, and I say that like that is not also only in the US, that's also in Chile. In Chile, they playing El Que No Salta Paco, who's a Dominican kid from New York. You know what I'm saying? El Futuro NY. And so I say that because there's a generation that I feel like is giving us all a lesson in political education through their resistance. And I feel like the rhythms that they move into kind of move with them, with that rage. I don't know if anybody else got a question or if anybody else wants to drop.
RodStarz, I just want to build on the question about music. Back a long time ago in the days of analog, when there was not that many platforms, if Ruben Blades came out with a song, Plástico, or something that, you know, had a political message in it, you bought the album, and it was just the album. That was like the platform you heard it. So everyone in the Latino community would buy Siembra and would hear that song. Nowadays, there's so many different platforms. So, like, if you guys as musicians, where's the best way for any young person today who has something to say and they want to get it out in a rap, in a song? What's the best platform? And then it's so fragmented. If you put it out on one platform, how do you make sure that it gets out to other people? What's the best way to really get your voice, get your art out today?
I'll speak on that. I can kind of connect both of what actually Rod is saying and what we're getting from Bmhc is, can you hear me? I'm sorry, I don't know if, okay. In all honesty, Rod, the youth that are in leadership are in position to play and create music because of the centers like the Rebel Diaz Center, because of the work that we do, not only as they gave us the title activists. We're out here doing youth work, you know, we're out here continuing to keep the youth in us who was there helping us out. How do we keep passing the torch? You know, our leaders were in prison for being educators like Oscar Lopez Rivera, you know, and so now we the music part is what's been able to have us travel the world and connect with each other here, right? As far as platforms in today, Siembra, thank you for saying that because I love that album, and Palante with Ruben Blades. Digitally, you have so much access that kids, they don't even have to go on how to get their songs on iTunes anymore. They're performing it live. You know what I'm saying? They're recording it on their phones. I direct mentorship with Twin Cities Mobile Jazz Project, a youth organization here. And when I couldn't be at the front lines when the precinct was on fire because I'm a mother and my revolution starts at home and I had to protect my daughter. But when I looked and I'm connecting with my people that were out there, it was our youth. It was our youth, from Somali children throwing back tear gas cans that didn't explode back at the police because they just left that in their country, from Hmong, you know, that were Hmong kids in front, not fearing because they just survived that. They're like, this is supposed to be our freedom over here, and it's worse. Their connection is by, like I stated, the revolution will be recorded and televised on their devices. So I think it's also trying to figure out what do they know as far as if those devices don't work no more, because that's what started to happen here in the Twin Cities when the uprising happened, and they closed down all of these circuits of the antennas, so we couldn't see what was going on anymore. So we couldn't communicate with our brothers and sisters on the front line that had their megaphones, that were DJing for the youth. They disconnected it because they didn't want folks to see that the police were the ones that were shooting. The police were the ones that had white supremacists torching buildings on fire. All of that is being accessed and awakened because that's what's been going on. But now we have that. Kids can share their musical platforms on their iPads, on their phones. So if it's a matter of distributing it, they figure out a way. There's SoundCloud, there's CD Baby that will make sure that if it's on one platform, it's going to go on all platforms. And that's something that we also have to talk about, because those are platforms that are corporate, that are getting money that's not going back to the Black and brown community too. So it's trying to figure out networks of yo, Rod, are you down to create a digital streaming, right? Not saying that, but an idea, GI, are you down to create a digital streaming platform that gives youth their proceeds for each spin that they're getting on a beat while they are the revolution? So it's trying to braid what's going on a corporate standpoint, because is iTunes giving back to these kids? You know, is Spotify giving back to these kids? It's way more than like Tef said, hashtagging Black Lives Matter all of a sudden, and putting Netflix now, we have a Black Lives Matter collection. You know, it's really making sure that it's formatted, grounded. And maybe we do need to hit up, you know, the Ruben Blades that are still supportive of these movements. You know, maybe we do need to hit up the elders that are financially stable to provide for the next generation.
Word up, word up. G1, you want to get to some? You want to do some music real quick? We doing little musical interludes in between.
I'm with it, my brother.
We gonna get down. Hey, I got my computer working, so I can do whatever you want to do, dog.
Oh man, well let's get it. Let's let them know which side we on. We can get started with that.
Dale, let's
All
go.
day, early. This joint's called "Which Side Are You On?" And for us, this is a question that we need to ask, especially in these times that we're in. We on the side of the people. We on the side of Black, Indigenous, immigrant, poor, workers, students getting down for their liberation. Let's go.
Which side are you on, boy? Which side are you
Yeah, 1, 2. All right. Let's go. See, I gotta draw the line. I can't take it no more. If you ain't down with revolution, what you waiting for? Making money for suckers in our communities poor. Ripping flags off of coffins, man, this ain't our war. Colonizers terrorized by the world's biggest killers. The U.S. government, the biggest weapon and drug dealers. Filling prisons with children, incarcerating the future. MySpace and Zoom, but got stuck on computers. Stuck on stupid bumping music, that's abusive to the shorties. We dismissed it and absorb it. I'm in dormant, I'm awoken, I'm a giant, I'm ready. With the Aqua Oaxaca, and we hold a machete.
Hard like Palestinian children holding slingshots. With every single kid that's down for hip hop. The culture, the life, what it really stands for. This music is resistance, it's the voice of the poor. On the side of the workers, the teachers, and lunch ladies. On the streets of brown mommies raising out brown babies. I'm with youth organizers cleaning up the Bronx River. Jaime Escalante wanna stand and deliver. I'm with Evo Morales, man, he running Bolivia. Distribution of the land so we can all live bigger. I'm with Hugo and Fidel, Grandmaster Romelli. With the Panthers up in Queens, justice for Sean Bell. With Camacho Negron, with Ojeda Rios. Freedom for Oscar Lopez, time to get on the pill. With a Boo Jamal, with a shot of Shakur. With the compas in the Mocali getting a penny more. Which side? Shaw City. The South Bronx, con Minnesota, with Ferguson, con Puerto Rico, con los Mapuche. Let's get it.
Think about them dead soldiers when you're driving your ride. The people die for the oil and Daddy Bush's revenge. I'm with the widows, the children, and the lonely best friends. My family's staying together as one. I'm not for the raids or the deportations. I'm with Victor Toro and the MRR. So watch out for them snitches in that unmarked car. And for Lil Saulito, we gon' fight for your moms. So we gon' shout her out twice in one song. I'm for 12 million workers and then Vida Arellano for a world without borders and a better tomorrow. Word up, word up. Watch out for them snitches in that unmarked car.
That just picked up people in New York.
More than ever right now. Real chitty chat right
Real
there.
chat, brother. Mira, Tef Po.
I think Tef was switching devices.
Tef is my
he's back
favorite.
there, right there. Boom, boom,
Tef is
boom.
my favorite English-only Dominican
Hey.
from St. Louis.
Se durmió, se durmió.
This nigga is hilarious. My favorite English-only Dominican from Ferguson. Yo, Tef, you got some bars? Is
I
that
always
a
got
possibility?
some bars.
I mean,
I always got some bars.
So you want to get down with some?
Yeah, I'll spit some.
There you go.
I ain't got no beat to it.
Oh man, let's do it. You don't got
Zoom,
no beat?
the Zoom makes me feel funny over a beat. But alhamdulillah, I'm high like Haile Selassie. The shower posse made him feel the strain. Pistol on my waist, if I pull it, I could make a building lean. My grandmama dream about freedom, she ain't from Philistine. I scrape a soldier for $1, blowing Doja in Ramallah. Abu Bukhari, a part of my story. I'm beefing with the same people who segregated the Red Nation. My heart is yours if you accepted these are reparations. I was never bulletproof, but my chakras was full of juice. Armed with a slingshot against the Israeli platoon, treat the devil like a dog until I put him in his tomb. Pressure in my life, it wasn't nothing I could do now. I eat a hand grenade and play a violin inside a shootout. I know Palestinians who bang the same flag as Nipsey. When it's time to charge the capsule, they gonna slay the dragon with me. Eating massive in a mansion, thinking about my point of view. You couldn't feel me if Allah did not anoint you too. I vow to carry on since Zudi gave me his kafir. Zionists know how I'm rocking, so they blocking my career. Death around the corner, rotating through the violence, prorating my emotions. I paid the tax and try to hide it. This is how Magic Johnson must have felt when his firstborn son was born without the virus. These are the theories. Rest in peace to Fred, the godson. I live a totally different lifestyle than my godson. For the young, black, and gifted, this world is truly yours from a different point of reference, because we was really poor. We told this world to kiss our ass. They exposed us to the camera. It's confused and bandanas. Now the media can't stand us. Colonialism, the ism that's attached to my plight. My little brother died twice and he came back to life. I get his gift to y'all like this is Gaza with a nuclear bomb. Killer hornets on the way, pivot through the storm. I'm sending through Ramadan like God couldn't foresee. 300 years later, I be still smoking tree. The burning bush is just a metaphor. I vocally proceed. When Moses spoke on it, you know that he was smoking weed. No fork nor spoon. Knowledge is what they fed me. The Mississippi River was my Dead Sea. Stolen land with a stolen name and a stolen flame. It's drought season. Only reason Allah needs to restore the rain. Black Yasser Arafat in the airport, making salat with my ox. I saw an op outside, AutoZone cuffing an ox. You faker than a Zionist, you gonna bust it or not? You gonna bust it or not? The black Muslims. I'm from the doctrine of Mansa Musa. My vision was distorted. I'm in Armand Jordan throwing gang signs while I'm rocking number 9 Jordans. Smoking trees with Sudanese refugees. Bitch me alive for my older brother in prison. I'm putting money on his books so they couldn't smother the division. Blood splatters. I don't need no cracker telling me my life matter. Get at him.
Oh my God. Flame emojis in real life. You get the flame emoji. I'm gonna burn my phone. I'm gonna burn my house down.
Wow.
Flame on, flame on.
I don't even want to rap no more. Wow. You got Chilenos, you got my Chileno friend saying, damn, la cagó. That's like the ultimate compliment in Chile. Wow. Oh. You got Karl Marx wearing a red hat over here. Look at him. Wow. Okay.
We have a question. We have a question. So Emily, who's been really patient, she's been with us on Zoom. So Emily has a question. It's long. You might have to read some of it on the chat. If we defund the police without revolution, then the police becomes privatized like Blackwater. So 1, how do revolutionaries disrupt liberals, co-opting the movement with symbolic changes that maintain the settler colonial project of the so-called United States? That's part 1.
Part 2.
Well, let's just do part 1. You got it? You see it in the chat?
You want me to answer that?
Whoever wants, whoever wants to, yeah.
Well, I think it was May, I don't know what year it was, but in the 60s, Malcolm X said, and I'm paraphrasing, that the real threat was actually the liberal, the person that you invite to sit at the cookout. Y'all let them say a couple of cool black phrases. You might even let them drop the N-bomb once or twice if they're around the right people. You know what I'm saying? And the reality of the situation is, what I learned from my experiences within the movement is that you just can't really move the needle against this type of oppression without a real class analysis. And with that being, like, for example, today in St. Louis, we voted in, a couple years ago, we voted in the first Black county prosecutor. His name's Wesley Bill. St. Louis County prosecutor, first one. He removed, we organized the whole community to remove Bob McCulloch, who had been in office for 28 years. And he was the person who refused to press charges against Darren Wilson for the murder of Mike Brown. Now today, Wesley Bell announced that he reopened the Mike Brown case without telling the community, but he campaigned under the notion that he was going to reopen it. And today he announced that he is not pressing charges against Darren Wilson. Now, this is a black man, first black man to hold this position, the black man that replaced the racist piece of shit hunky cracker boy that was in there. Excuse my language. I use crazy language because I'm intentional about my language, because they intentional about their language, and I got that from the elders. So he basically announced today that he was not pressing charges against dude. And we did a lot of celebrating when Wesley got in there, because it was like, oh, we got him out, we got him out, we got Bob McCulloch out. Yeah, right? But you got to push slow on the, you got to ease up and realize what we're doing here. We just motivated the hood to vote in some cases for the first time, but to vote for a prosecutor. So he's still doing the basic functionalities of the system under the guise of blackness. You know what I'm saying? And in today's movement, we have this really vacuous definition of things. So it's like, it don't matter as long as you slap black on it, hey, it's probably cool. As long as you slap the right pronoun on it, it's probably cool. As long as you slap the right whatever on it, it's probably cool. But at the same time, we're not realizing that a lot of this stuff functions for the expansion of the oppression. You know what I'm saying? So it's like this whole project, this whole liberal conservative project, like we can't even really get too caught up in that. Like we gotta really just position ourselves to do for us as much as we can. And in the process of doing for us, we gotta position ourselves to defend ourselves when we are doing for us against the people who don't want to see us doing for us. And a lot of people say, well, what does that look like, Tef? What does that look like? Well, I'm not the one who's calling for reform. I'm calling for revolution. So I know what it looked like. It looked like me suffering a little bit. It looked like my community not having access to things. The same way when I go visit other countries and they don't have the things that they probably would have if they weren't pushing against this regime, well, we're going to be in the same position. So, but if you don't got no political education and no analysis around real oppression, around real globalism, around what's really happening with the economy and how we as American citizens play to that marginalization. We are the fuel for what's going on. We in the belly of the beast. That's why when you meet people that are out of the country, they like, yo, you in the belly of the beast, dog, because you really in the belly of the fucking beast. And you got to conduct yourself accordingly. So like, that whole narrative ain't no narrative for me because they my ops. Just the same way if I was gangbanging, the niggas from the other side is my ops. I ain't gangbanging no more. So I'm gangbanging against them and they my ops. So whatever they on, I'm against, period. I don't care what they on. They can be on, I'm against them for life, period.
Word up. I appreciate that, Tev. Just to add to that answer, I want to share a concept. You know, a lot of folks are like, yo, like defund the police. I think the fact that defund the police has gotten such large traction is a good thing. I think that we have to be across the board in agreement that funding in any police department in this country is overfunded as it is. Like, that's clear. You know what I mean? Like, even when we talk about it, if New York Police Department was its own army, they would be the 6th largest army in the whole world. You know what I'm saying? Like, to put it in context, you know what I'm saying? And so I share that because as long as there's wealth, those that are wealthy will find a way to protect their wealth. As long as wealthy people exist, wealthy people will figure out a way to protect their wealth from those that do not have it. You know what I'm saying? And so whether that protection is private, like Emily was saying, whether it's Blackwater, whether it's this technological surveillance that we got going on, like right now, Facebook and all these facial recognitions, you don't even need lineups like that movie, The Usual Suspects. You don't need me to stand to the side. You don't need that no more. You already have a surveillance that you know what my face looks like. You know what I'm saying? And so I share that because until we get rid of wealth, until we get rid of a large, you know what I mean, inadequacy, unequalness in the amount of people that have wealth and those that don't, there will be a need for police. You know what I'm saying? And whether that police is state funded, privately funded, or a drone flying over you, that policing will continue. You know what I'm saying? On a more revolutionary analysis, as a community, we can't talk about defunding the police if we don't have an army of organizers and folks that are willing to go into our communities and build class consciousness, you know what I'm saying, to reverse 500 years of colonialism in our hood. And liberals that are disconnected from the hood have no idea about that. I know Tef knows. You ain't gonna go to the hood and on some, hey, it's peace and love. People are wolves out here. People will kill your ass for your chain in a heartbeat. And so if we're not building class consciousness and building militancy in our communities, the whole concept of the defund police is like some kumbaya type stuff. You know what I'm saying? Because we have 500 years of colonialism and you know, mental colonization that we have to reverse. And if we don't face that head on, we lying to ourselves as a community that's a possibility. So that's my view.
Word up.
Yo, can I say something? Or are you going to hit Jake?
No, go ahead.
You know, my only problem with the defund the police, man, for real, because my homeboys that's not even in the movement, you know, asked me some real logical questions about that. He's like, yo, so defund the police, right? He said, you know how many guns we got? And I was like, yeah. And he's like, thank God we righteous people, right? But a lot of these cats ain't righteous people. And I'm not saying this as if I believe the police have a righteous functionality, because they don't. They never had one. But I'm saying is also, hey, the movement jumps so ahead of the curve of where the actual populace is sometimes, that they don't even realize that they're weaponizing a narrative that activists have been pushing for the last 30 years to seem as if it's something flimsy, to seem as if it's something that's not rooted and based in reality, all because we don't do the due diligence of actually arming our people with political education. And we don't highlight the contradictions of the system, because the same people that might promote defund the police from a liberal standpoint, they're not going to promote the consequence of defunding the police, which is you being able to protect your own community and your own people, period. Cool, ain't no police, I'm armored up, we going through training, we doing what we got to do to be that. So when the sisters call and say, hey, dude that they just had locked up for 15 years for rape got out and he up here beating this old lady head in, what y'all gonna do? What y'all gonna do? Because that's a consequence of mass incarceration as well. Like, I'm talking about real people living in real situations, and you gotta be really, okay, ain't no police here. So now are you ready to bust your gun? Are you ready to go up there and get him out this lady's house? That's what, like, this is reality. You feel what I'm saying? So like the movement gets ahead of this curve and sometimes it preaches this flower power shit, but then they're not giving our people the tools we need to actually live in the reality that'll be spawned from that political consequence. So then the system says, oh yeah, that y'all didn't want no police, so don't call me when Jessica getting raped then. Don't call me when they shot 12 people on the corner then. And it's just this game that they play to make us look like we're maniacal people who have unrealistic goals, all because these flower power motherfuckers that never missed a fucking meal get to come in here and say the same shit that we've been saying for 30 fucking years. And I'm sick of it.
That's word is bond to both what Rod and Tef is saying. I think that's key, because the second part of this question says, how can artists contribute to building and braiding a movement for revolution? And I think that, you know, part of the conversation we've been having too is about expanding our level of political education. You know, we're not going to get nowhere just going off our Facebook echo chambers. We need to be out there on the block having these conversations. I think that a lot of times when we talk about liberals and add these words, at the end of the day, that's an ideology that talks about managing poverty as opposed to abolishing poverty. You know what I'm saying? I want to share this real quick. This little picture right here, and let me know if y'all can see it. Can y'all see a picture that I got up? Y'all see that or no? I can't.
Yeah. Yes.
Okay. Yeah.
I see it.
Y'all see what it says?
Yeah, I see that.
Okay. This is the Geo Group. All right. This is the second largest for-profit prison company in the U.S. They getting into the business of continuum of care. You know what I'm saying? So they providing social services for when people get out of jail. You know what I mean? And so this is an example of these private corporations in cahoots with nonprofits, in cahoots with the foundations, the Ford foundations, I ain't even gonna name the names because y'all already know what that legacy of wealth is in this country. And so when we talk about, we throw the word liberal out, I think one of the main ideas we got to put forth as artists, as communicators, as cultural workers, you know what I'm saying, is this idea that the liberals is trying to manage poverty. They speak of hunger and poverty as if these things that exist, they just happen to exist, like the trees and oceans and the land. They just happen to exist. But the reality is that poverty exists because, like Rod was saying, wealth exists. That's the only way that poverty exists. And so when you talk about a level of activism, right, quote unquote, that's really just talking about managing poverty, and like groups like the Geo Group or in cahoots with other foundations that are providing, social impact investing, and talking about human capital management, and talking about continuum of care and rehabilitating. That is, at the end of the day, a system of control. And so the incarceration system moving forward don't just look like mugs in jail. It looks like, a surveillance state, like RodStarz was saying. And I'm gonna go ahead and stop the screen share. But just I wanted to just throw that up there. You know what I'm saying? That I think as cultural communicators, as cultural workers, we need to start putting these ideas out there. You know what I mean? That at the end of the day, the solutions need to come from within our communities, and we need to talk about mutual aid. And at this point, it's about survival, not inclusion into any colonial project.
Word up. G, you get the flames as well. Este the real life emoji, the flames.
Hey.
Speaking of cultural workers, I did a show recently. It feels recently because it was one of our last shows of last year in Minnesota. Maria Isa is a better MC than half of the people I've shared the stage with.
Real
and I
talk.
say that with much love because I've shared the stage with a lot of dope MCs. But she can freestyle, B. She got like real freestyles, you know what I'm saying? And so I gotta say that, not that I'm gonna ask her to freestyle, but
you putting me on the spot with the
no.
freestyle?
I'm not gonna ask you to freestyle.
Okay.
Real recognize real. Real recognize real. Estoy mandando props como MC to MC. You got some bars for us to get to play?
I do. Let me hold on. Give me 1 second. Let me turn the abanico off because we had to turn the air for the Zoom call.
Hey, I'm melting over here. I've had mine off the whole time.
Puse aquí, loco.
Me puse hasta un do-rag to hold in the episode.
It's real. Usually at this time, we in Puerto Rico at fiestas and Loíza. And, my husband and I celebrated our 3rd year anniversary yesterday. And we make sure how we help our gente is by supporting them. And, we can't help being there with the economy. We helping what we can do and sending what we got to send for. And speaking of Loíza, my daughter just came into the session. Say hi to everybody. She wants the rap. She wants the rap too. Come on. Okay.
That's the greatest song ever that you ever wrote. Right.
That is right there. Song, art piece, rhythm, dance, everything. So I got a piece. I'm gonna start off with a little bit and go into the piece because we over here talking about people that have been whose souls still live, but physical form is not here. And what unifies all of us in this discussion goes back to our drums unifying their rhythms together. And this is a bomba that I wrote for Big Floyd. That was my way of trying to keep the peace in front of my peace, which is my daughter. And I can't shout and cry these tears out in front of her no more. It's protecting their innocence, and they're recognizing we're working for a world so that they don't gotta feel what we've survived. And this drum of my bomba drum is my weapon of my weapon of choice, by any means necessary. So this is a bomba for Floyd and Big Floyd and everybody who's had to feel that pain. Como duele Oh yeah, this is it. Can't say shit to me. 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 I let the eyes roll past me. My Leo can't catch me. See what I want, go ahead, go ahead. All aboard, I'm a bote. So I'm Natasha Meat Boris. Fit for buying bullets. White boy with a mullet. Try to flush it down the toilet. And so tuyo can't say shit to me. Take a look at my history. Look now what you did to me, huh? You can't say shit to me, yeah? Can't say shit to me, nah? Can't say shit to me, hey? Can't say shit to me. For my Heights in Washington Heights. Walk past a Yale shooting dice. All proud, mouth full of rice. Mouth full of rice off his favorite vice. Chick yelling down the corner. Oye negro, I'll give you what you like. Give you what you like. Mango y coco, plátano a lo loco. Tengo la mancha de plátano hasta lo todo. Tell my girls cante el coro. Yo lo quiero todo. Toito, toito, enterito, toito, toito, enterito, toito, toito, enterito. Toito, toito, enterito, toito, toito, enterito. I give you what you like. Eso es tuyo, mami, eso es tuyo, eso es todo, mami, eso es tuyo, oh, eso es todo, mami, eso es tuyo, oh, eso es todo, mami. Can't say shit to me, yeah. You can't say shit to me, no. You can't say shit to me, yeah. Oh, take a look at my history. Look now what you did to me. Did your 5-0 win 05? Trying to pull me over in Falcon Heights. Dim headlights, place I was born. Yeah, I know my rights. I love boys with elegant skin. No woman's value has a word price given. I love doctors and herbalists who watch me surf where they swim. I love kings, bloods, and crips, GDs, lords of Sitchin. I love African indigenous men who make drum from the animal skin. I like white men who get me out the pen and value my word as a sword. Value my word as a sword. Value my signature with the pen. Ghetto! Blue collar, huh? Collard greens, Honors and scholars, yeah. Oh yeah. Tuyo. Can't say shit to me. Tuyo. Take a look at my history. Ghetto. Now see, we tribal.
Let's go.
Peace.
Let's go.
I'm gonna have that in my head. I'm gonna be, can't say shit to me. Hey. Muchas gracias.
Thank
por
you.
ese blessing.
Thank
And
you.
You got our brother, George, que está haciendo, él es tremendo conguero. He talking about when we gonna do the remix.
For real, man. We gotta figure something out. Yo, I got that song Como El Duele. It's recorded, and the proceeds are going to from streaming. You can download it, name your price, and all the proceeds are going to the collectors that are on the streets, that are the ones that are on the movement and that are making sure that our youth are staying protected, because that's what Big Floyd would really want.
I love it. Thank you. You're a blessing, hermana. You are a blessing.
Love you. Ache. Gracias, Papa.
I love that. Elena, you said Bobby had a question?
Yeah, one more question. So
Bobby, you got a question?
Yeah,
¿Qué te pasa?
Yeah.
Well, riffing on the vibe of the music, the thread on music. Any young people today, artists from the past that were relevant to me when I was very young, like Gil Scott-Heron, Last Poets, Sekou Sundiata, people like that. Are they anywhere relevant to the youth of today? Are they aware of them? Even people like Fred Hampton, who's who was a part of the Black Panthers in Chicago and was the first to develop the concept of the Rainbow Coalition. Because
Yes.
I talked to some young people. Me and Elena have been to several protests, and I was talking to Mickey Melendez on the protest that would happen on the day the Puerto Rican Day Parade was supposed to happen. And what's the name of that church, Elena?
That's the Young Lords Church.
The church the Young Lords took over. So me and Mickey were talking. Mickey is one of the original members of the Young Lords. We were talking about Fred Hampton, and this young brother was standing next to us, and he's looking at me like like he's like, "Who are you talking about?" And I said, "Look him up on your smartphone," and he starts going, "Damn." So I said, "This is nothing new. I mean, people have been fighting this as far as as far back as humans have been humanity to each other when this country was founded." So the difference is that now you get to video it and transmit it live, just like the cops who have the what do you call those? The drones that are looking at us right now. So he was very thankful that I hipped him to Fred Hampton. So I was wondering if artists that were so meaningful to me when I was young, like Gil Scott and the Last Poets, are meaningful to young people today. Are they relevant at all, to young people today in any way, shape, or form?
They're absolutely relevant. You know what I'm saying? And I think that, it's crazy, but Breonna Taylor, who everybody's talking about, died in the same way that Chairman Fred Hampton did. She was asleep in her home. You know what I mean? Now, mind you, Fred Hampton was given sleeping, pills by an FBI informant, but it was a no-knock raid. You know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
And I share that to make connections, obviously, to cases from today. But, Chairman Fred Hampton, I think that Rainbow Coalition that he built with, the way he built with the streets, you know what I'm saying? We stand on that legacy, you know what I'm saying? And so 100% Gil Scott Heron, without Gil Scott Heron, without the Last Poets, there is no hip hop. You know what I mean? There is no Public Enemy. There is no Rebel Diaz, no Tepo. And so I say that because they're 100% relevant. And I think that, it's our responsibility. Our generation is the connection to that. You know what I'm saying? Real quick, I want to just say thank you to Tepo, who's got a bounce. They're going to be, he's going to a protest right now. So we want to just send him that love. And I also want to, send that love because they protested because Darren Wilson didn't get charged after they opened the case for the second time. So be safe, brother. Hold it down. And we definitely, want to bring it together because I know we already we rolling towards the end. But much love, Tepo, brother. You already know. For folks that don't know, Rebel Diaz and Tepo got a project together called Multiply. That's literally black and brown music in action. So make sure to check for that and shout out. And it's super dope too, like Tef says. So definitely shout out to Tepo for joining us tonight. You know what I'm saying, and blessing us. And váyate para la protesta, but be safe, brother. Be safe.
Be safe.
You have the energy of all the ancestors, man. Love, and we gotta definitely connect. Maria Isa, we gotta connect with Tepo. We gonna take him to Minnesota, and we all gonna rock out.
Definitely.
We gonna rock out together. You already know.
Definitely.
I guess what do we do? We're ¿en qué hora estamos ahora? 9:35. We got some time, a little bit left, real quick. G, do you want to get down and is there any more questions on the chats, or do we get down and do?
Bobby wants to bring up one more thing, I think.
I just posted in the chat room. The police, the NYPD just released yesterday the officers that are the most guilty of misconduct.
Yes, share that, please.
And please check that out because all of these officers are still on the payroll, and some of them are making exorbitant amounts of money. It's an abomination, or as our Italian American brothers would say, una infamia. It's just horrific the amount of money these guys are making, and they're still on the force. So just check it out.
And I'm glad you say that, Bobby, because what that truth that you shared shows is that police a lot of times say, oh, there's bad cops and there's good cops, right? Or, not all cops are bad cops. The police department has historically not only let killer cops walk free and abusive cops walk free, they've promoted them, giving them raises. They reward this violent behavior financially. You know what I'm saying? So I appreciate you bringing that. It's a huge thing. There's literally a whole, information. You can look up the police officers. They've all been, their info has been publicized. So I appreciate you sharing that, Bobby, for real. Do you want to tiramos otro tema? Maria, do we have Maria's video, G? Can you maybe show a little clip of that?
Yes,
we have. No worries.
We have if Maria wants to play it, we have the sabotage joint.
Wow, you know what?
Is that too much in the vaults?
Yeah. I would say if you're gonna play a video, check out if you want to go check out the new joint for the shorties. In this time, I put together a pop Afro Latinx pop project with my brother producer Gimme. In the pandemic, we created it. And we were going to put it on pause with the uprising, but then we was like, nah, this is what Big Floyd spoke about last time. He was like, yo, when are you going to hit us up with the hotness so we can play in the club? And we figured out we wanted to write about love, man, because our world needs love and the kids need this. And our daughter loves PBS. So I said, let me do a song for the shorties it's called Voy Contigo. And that shows us love in Latin America. I mean, I shout out to Bolivia. I got a song for them because I didn't call every country out, and I got some hate from the Bolivian community, but it's all love. I love y'all. But it's for the love of us and recognizing our identity, and that even though we can't physically travel there, we create in the world that we want to travel to once we can again. And that's called Contigo, Amor Universal.
Dope. All right, so that's what we're gonna play. This is Maria Isa Voy Contigo joint, so y'all can get in tune with what she's been getting down with lately. And I'm beginning that screen share right about now.
Yeah.
Boom.
Cartoon.
Let's get it.
Oye, Jimmy. Lo calentaste otra vez con esta, papi. Así. Rumba para gozar. Rumba para bailar, rumba para gozar, rumba para bailar. Me enamoré la primera vez que te conocí. Amorcito, cómo me haces sentir que en esta vida se tiene que vivir feliz. Y eso sin ti no hay, no, eso sin ti no hay. Para Cuba, voy contigo para Santo Domingo, voy contigo para Panamá, voy contigo para México lindo, voy contigo para Honduras, voy contigo para Guatemala, voy contigo para Argentina, voy contigo para Costa Rica, voy contigo para Venezuela, voy contigo para El Salvador, voy contigo para Colombia, Perú, Chile y Ecuador. Voy contigo para Paraguay, voy contigo para Uruguay, voy contigo a mi Borinquen, en Puerto Rico, el mundo entero. Yo me voy, que nada más importa cuando estoy contigo. Nada más importa. La noche candela, me voy contigo. Yo me voy contigo. Y la luna llena contigo. Me voy contigo, sí, contigo.
Yeah.
Thank you.
For
Thank
the
you.
babies,
For the babies.
My son loves that video. I'm telling you, when we was out with Rosa, my son likes that video, me.
Thank you. It's for them, like everybody is like, we got the heavy hitter revolutionary fire in the street video obviously coming next, but this project's for the shorties to keep hope, man, keep love. We got to fight for them,
I love it. I love it. G, you got that? You got some of that King Capo video?
Oh yeah, you already know. Let me pull that up right here. We got this joint
Respira?
Yeah, we got a recent. It's his second to last recent joint. It's called Respira. We love the imagery of it. You know what I'm saying? And we're gonna play from the top. Cool.
That's off his upcoming album, 1992. Let's get it.
Se frizó, se frizó.
No soy la víctima ni quiero soñar como si lo fuera. Estoy paseando por esta van muy dura y desespera. Nada de lo que yo quiero ocurre, más allá está planeado. Será que siempre viviré así, perdido y fracasando. 27 años de edad, sin ninguna profesión. Lo único que me queda es lamentado por la mala decisión. La decisión de coger la música como carrera, la cual fue yo tiempo perdido, de nada valió la espera. Voy recorriendo caminos de la oscuridad. Cada paso que yo doy siento que me hundo más. No sé por la decepción o por mi inseguridad, pero siento algo dentro de mí que me para impidiéndome avanzar. Los negativos se apoderan de mí. No encuentro la manera de cómo esto seguir. Prefiero la muerte que vivir como un infeliz. Nada del mundo me motiva, prefiero la muerte que sobrevivir. Ya respira, inhala, exhala. No forma de que tú hagas la cosa bien si de ella mismo ni voluntad. Nada de lo que tú quieras sería caída del cielo. Sigue vagón, si lucha por ello, puedes seguir, todo puedas cambiarlo. Respira, inhala, exhala. No forma de que tú hagas la cosa bien si de ella mismo ni voluntad. Nada de lo que tú quieras sería caída del cielo. Sigue vagón, si lucha por ello, puedes seguir, todo puedas cambiarlo. La vez pasada fue la última vez que yo traté de apuntar a la escuela, pero al final del día no lo logré. Preguntaba por qué no lo lograba comprender. Yo me dijeron que tengo que ser ciudadana del USA. Como no tenía papel, yo no podía acceder a tener una educación así para poderme mantener. Yo no sabía qué hacer por la impotencia, yo lloré, me senté mirando hacia el cielo diciendo que perdí la fe. Bienvenidos al mundo de los ilegales. Diferentes tierras, pero las luchas siempre son iguales. Somos trabajadores dignos para ganando el peso, pero el sistema blanco no les importa, nada, ya no ven eso. Hablan de oportunidades, no te creo, no los hay. Hablan de igualdades, no te creo, no los hay. Somos trabajadores dignos para ganando el peso, pero el sistema blanco no les importa, nada, ya no ven eso. Así respira, inhala, exhala. No forma de que tú hagas la cosa bien si de ella mismo ni voluntad. Nada de lo que tú quieras sería caída del cielo. Sigue vagón, si lucha por ello, puedes seguir, todo puedas cambiarlo. Respira, inhala, exhala. No forma de que tú hagas la cosa bien si de ella mismo ni voluntad. Nada de lo que tú quieras sería caída del cielo. Sigue vagón, si lucha por ello, puedes seguir, todo puedas cambiarlo.
Flames, all flames, baby. Respira. Capo, in that lyric, you talk about como la experiencia del inmigrante, the experience of being an immigrant, of being a worker. You know what I mean? Like, that's why I rock with you, bro, because you're not out here, you know, part of the activist crowd. You working for yours and holding it down. Tell me a bit about that experience in the context of this pandemic.
Man, it's been crazy, especially for the people that don't got papers, like, you know, because they don't get no benefits, no, you know, no help from nobody. So they just got to hustle. That's the only way to survive right now. So yeah, bro, like, that's what I talk on the Respira song.
I love it, dog. I love it, Capo. Capo's a man of few words, but when he raps, he goes ballistic. Tell me a bit about the creation of this video. I know you've been working a lot with Ezru, who's one of my favorite dudes right now. This is like a movie. The visuals of it are crazy. Tell me about the creation of this art.
We did that video like on 2-3 hours, bro. Because I went to the island, I pick him up, I pick up Ezra up, the cameraman. So we went to the city, straight out to the city. Yo, it was no people, no traffic, nothing. Like, it was crazy. So, you know, we was trying to catch all the, you know, the signs and everything, the people people working on the subways and everything. But we did that like in 2 hours.
Yeah, I love it, man. On some art piece, you guys were out there and y'all really documented when New York was empty, B. Like there was a moment, like the visual that y'all have is a historic moment.
Yeah, it was in the middle,
it's like
in
a
the
movie.
middle of the pandemic. Yep.
Yeah, man. Respira, tremendo tema. I appreciate you for that work, brother. Y por compartir, for sharing with us. You know what I'm saying, tonight. We're nearing some of the end. I gotta send shout out to my brother Ricardo, tuning in from Chile. He said, "Yo, this got a Rap City the Basement vibe." You know what I mean? I'm like, "Yo, I'm loving the vibe. Yo, we gonna be talking politics and sharing culture. That's what rap and social movements is about. You feel me? So, big ups to everybody tuning in. Shout outs to Lynn and to Christian. Tama Boricua representa coños. Giving shout outs to Maria Isa. Elena, are there any more questions that we want to have, or maybe we just kind of some final thoughts to
No, we don't have any more. No more questions. No one has any more questions. So if you guys just want to sort of like go around and just final thoughts about the topic.
Big ups to RodStarz and Patty from Circuit 95 in the building.
Baby. Hey,
That's
Rod,
what's up?
Rod, you what about doing a little collaboration between me, you, Capo, and DJ Illinois?
Let's do it right now. I'm ready.
Because
I'm ready.
There's gonna be a little so Peep Script, since March we've been trying to figure it out, right? Like how we collaborate, how we do it live. And I know, Bobby, I'm sure you may have encountered this difficulty in this Zoom era. You can't beat the speed. You can't beat the speed of light. So it's hard to do live collaborations, and stay on rhythm because of the delay with the internet and all that. And so we've devised a little plan to do the kind of a pass the baton instrumental situation happening. So we're gonna try to do that. This joint is called La Patrulla. It's an ode, you know what I'm saying, to all of those that have fallen in the hands of the racist police state, both here in the U.S. and abroad. And it's featuring our brother King Capo. We even got DJ Illinois, who's in the shot also. He's gonna hit us with some scratches even, and we're gonna make it happen. So this is joint is called La Patrulla. G1 RodStarz, King Capo with DJ Illinois, and we're gonna set it right. You good with it?
I'm good. I'm ready.
Let's get it, y'all. La Patrulla, come on. Dos. Para todos los que han caído en la mano de este estado racista, para todos los que nos quieren dividir. Estamos claros que el pueblo unido jamás será vencido. Poor people unity, black and brown unity, worldwide. En contra de la fuerza del estado policial, en contra de la patrulla. Let's go.
Está pendiente de todo lo que la patrulla me está vigilando. Está pendiente de todo lo que para poder.
Let's go. Yeah. En la nación creada sobre la espalda de gente robada, donde la espada de los que llegaban mataban la tribu que aquí ya estaban. Así a través de la ama, a través de conquista, un imperio surgió. Con la mano de obra barata se construyó esta gran nación. La misma que hoy discrimina, mira que se le nega justicia. Ven, te invito, mira la cifra, tú y yo estamos en la misma. Sin empleo, te miran feo, pero no creo en el noticiero. El que quiere convencerte que vivo en la vida con miedo. Del negro, del inmigrante, criminales que quieren matarte, terroristas que están en la lista, cuidado que van a escucharte, más bien es conquistarte, más fácil explotarte, la muerte o la cárcel. Mira el caso de Trayvon Martin.
La patrulla me está vigilando.
Está pendiente de todo lo que hago.
La patrulla me está vigilando. Está pendiente de todo lo que hago. Para poder estar. Para poder.
¡Yao! Siempre sigo siendo el enemigo de la policía. Siempre sigo siendo MC Rodrigo de Rebeldía. Y no somos los únicos que siempre tenemos el puño arriba. Somos muchos, miles, millones, los que luchamos por la justicia. Yo quiero hablar de Marty Graham, shot in front of his brother Graham. Quiero hablar de John Collado, la policía lo asesinaron. Oscar Grant tomaba el tren. El próximo día se gastaba Sean Bell, Wilton Vega, Anthony Rosario, Anthony Bayer lo mataron. Amadou Diallo only had a wallet. Trayvon Martin gonna go to college. Look here, boy. All I gotta say is Virginia boy, they killed that boy, Kid Monty Gray. And all these rappers got nothing to say. Like it's okay when the guns go off, but when it just and it's gonna go, oh.
Yeah. La primera vez. Para poderme Dice, yo me siento seguro de ser de la calle con ese miedo que me podrían parar. Mucho menos si razón, no motivo que ustedes ni siquiera me pueden caminar ni explicar. Todavía entiendo que caso de crimen cometido para que me vengan a cuestionar. Se ve como sospechoso, pues sígueme la prueba y entiendo que yo hice señor oficial. Será por la forma en que me veo, por la forma de mi caminar. Será por obvio racial, será por nuestra seguridad. Lo único que yo sé, la única cosa que también entender, lo que ustedes están quejando se llama de confianza y seguridad en contra de la sociedad. Pero la pregunta más importante es que con esto la delincuencia para dar. O simplemente de la lista de ellos son ya. Son muchas preguntas, pero sin respuesta que nosotros tenemos que preguntar. Es hora de tomar acción, de meter presión, o si no, no me responde ya. Wow.
Tuya me está vigilando, está pendiente de todo aquello. La patrulla me está vigilando, está pendiente de todo aquello. Para poder
Ela.
DJ Illinois on the
I showed up. I showed up.
Eso, loco.
Flames.
Que te habla con las manos, le vemos las puras manos. Eso.
I love it. I love it. Nos despedimos con esa. Oh, hay más.
No fuimos.
Hay más. Elena, where you at? ¿Dónde está my last shoe? I only see Capo.
Ahí está, ahí está.
Hey,
Yo,
so
so go ahead. Dale.
no, you go ahead. Go ahead.
No, I just want to thank. Dale, Bobby.
How did you work it out? Because it sounded really on point. Almost, it was a little delayed, but just really on point. How did you work it out? Did you time everything out?
We just passing the baton. Everybody got that little piece of the instrumental. Y you know what I'm saying? Cuando uno termina, el otro empieza. When one finishes, the other one presses play on their joint and continues on. You know what I'm saying? It's a little relay race on the Zoom.
And I want to share that we were supposed to rehearse today, pero yo me fui a jugar baseball with my son and I didn't show up. So we just, I don't know how we pulled that one off. Campo G, y'all are the best. Illa, amazing.
Yeah.
There's a platform, you might be aware of it. There's a platform called Jack Trip that some jazz musicians were experimenting with, but you have to be between 30 to 40 miles within each other's distance. Check it out, Jack Trip. It's the closest thing that I've seen to being able to perform live. You get 3 or 4 people performing live with almost barely any audible delay, and just check it out. But you have to. The caveat is you have to be between 30 to 40 miles because of the fantastic work. Fantastic work.
Appreciate
That's amazing. I want to thank Maria Isa. Blessings, happy
Peace.
anniversary.
Maria.
Send your
Thank
love
you.
to our family. Yo,
Blessings.
we hadn't seen each other man long, but I feel like we've been building like the last couple months. So much love, hermano. Much love.
Virtually, I'll see you.
Yeah.
Cuídate.
Capo, hermanito, I love you, bro. Stay safe.
So
And
everyone, sorry.
Dale. That's it. Yeah, I'm done.
Well, I want to thank everyone tonight. It was really great. I want to first of all a shout out to Jorge Vasquez for making sure we all were on screen properly and sounded right.
The master controller.
Master controller Jorge Vasquez. And I want to thank RodStarz and G1 for curating, and Illinois, all of Rebel Diaz for putting this together tonight. And our guest artist Tev Poe, who left, King Capo. He's been at the Bmhc. He did some rapping with Kichwa MC from Ecuador, and Maria Isa. We want to thank everyone for taking part tonight. Thank you so much, and everyone else who showed up as well.
Can I just
Go
real
ahead, G.
quick too? I gotta say, because we're a unit, man. But I gotta give one love and much respect to my bro RodStarz, because the role that he plays in terms of connecting people, in terms of being able to connect these different worlds. You got Minneapolis being represented. You got St. Louis, Chicago, New York. You know what I'm saying? Folks from different walks of life, and not only that, but people that got skills. You know what I'm saying? We get clear on the hip hop tip. You gotta have skills. So Rod, thank you for being able to bring these people together. And I know we all play different roles, but I think it's a very important one to be able to make that happen. So thank you for sure.
And real quick, in true hip hop fashion, we have 3 minutes left technically for the event. Illa, can you end us off with a little mix, and we leave it at that?
You want to hear some exclusive?
Dale, ponle algo and we leave it at that. The little mix, Illa, we done.
Nos despedimos con DJ Illinois.
Pa'lante.
Peace, y'all. Thank
you,
y'all.
Maria. Hablamos.
Elena, Bobby, peace, y'all.
Lo quiero, nos vemos.
Dale, Ila. DJ Illinois on the ones and twos. Let's go.
Ya. Como lucha mi pueblo por todo el continente. Ya. Matan a mi hermano africano colgado de un árbol en Santiago. Matan musulmanes sin razón. Aló, noticiero te mintió. Cristian no te contó. The story was never told. And here it on CNN, heard it going to the store. Donde el bodeguero say salam aleikum, but he talk dominicano. So me and Lucy, now he got me thinking that we're gone. Excuses they be using to account for their abuses. Like we the criminales, while they robbing the market. Not the quick trip, this little bit. Burning and looting, more like shooting. Bombing and pillage. Villages targeted by vigilantes. Funded and bought with the tax on your purchase at your local market. Well, all shit is go to the very core, the reason for our discord. What do they want us for? Beyond serving their laws and working to keep it trending, so mama can buy a trending consumer because that ain't worth it. Tear through our soul is worse than walking barefoot on clothes. I give the Lord, but I know it hurt more. So tell me what's real violence, allow me to redefine it. When quality of life get defined by your whiteness, access limited, only VIP getting, and then your money still defining who you gonna be sitting with. You forget a seat at all. That ain't what I fight you for. I ain't even going in that door. I'm outside living with y'all. Hit the wall, clean up your roads. Right to name and plural. Some more stuff or not. I read the people of the ghetto. That's you. I live in the ghetto where they all are. That mean I can never turn a dog talk. That mean we might never put the jar up. That can brown come together like a marker. Do it for the ghetto. We do it for the ghetto.
Questions, so you guys.
Esto para el pueblo, what you got, esto para el pueblo, what you got, It's been up since I met John Carlos. Mess with us, we'll show up at a Carlo. Don't get it twisted, we still from Chicago. That's got the Chairman Fred and Rudy Lozano. Tarde o temprano, un día venceremos. Pa' lo corrupto, que dé mal gobierno. Pa' cada compañero que comparte su sueño. La lucha es ahora. The spirit of J, I'm trying to live freely. Guerrillero, escritor, you feel me? This is for certain. This is my purpose. Open up the curtain and get ready for these verses.
I'm from the ghetto, hey, I'm from the ghetto. They try to kill us all, but fuck it, our blood is special. We trapping at the border, my nigga, don't let them catch you. My gun got a brand, my bullets is 6 electro. I'm riding like a rider, I got dollars on the petrol. I'm smoking weed like I need it, baby, holla, let's go. I made it harder on the heart, hoping she don't let go. And fuck Donald Trump for killing the devil. Look at all y'all, you ain't got no feelings in me, cow.
Gotta pay my lawyer for insulting these imposters. Gun-toting young villain with limited options. Niggas set the bank out, breaking the fucking law. I got a gig back, so give back. Take a bar, I had a chopper too, so give back. Replay it with you motherfuckers, so relax. For I relapse, then I react. Middle finger, your opinion, we don't need no motherfucking feedback. Want revenge for your fucking sins, cause I need that. No, I love her, but we going through it, don't repeat that, repeat that. But we going through it, don't repeat that, repeat that, repeat that, repeat.
Oh yeah.
Oh,
Peace,
that's it,
Illinois.
y'all. Peace, peace, peace,
One
peace, peace,
love,
peace.
love.
Thank you.